Hey there, and welcome back to the Mini Weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Get into it, Mini. Cheers. Yeah, we're back on with a new video guest. But for those that have been listening religiously, this is not your first time. Joey Hughes, what's going on tonight, man?
Not much. Ready to talk some sports. Excited.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, do you got something to drink tonight?
I got a bubbly sparkling
Ooh,
water.
you can't go wrong with those. You can't go wrong with
Yeah,
those.
they're tasty.
I have to say, since I stopped drinking, um I've been drinking like more like these sodas. I don't know if you've heard of the Northern Soda Co.
Oh yeah.
They're bomb.
Oh yeah.
I was actually talking the Bonins love them. So if you taste them, they have cane sugar, which apparently cane sugar is like supposed to be good for you. But if you're drinking this, you would like it's not like good for you because it's still soda.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But it tastes like bad for you because it tastes like it's pure sugar, but
Yeah. It tastes like it's a full sugar Coke.
exactly. And it's so delicious. You could just like down it in one sip. But yeah, I was gonna say those bubbly flavors, like, dude, like I remember when they first like bubbly first came
Yeah.
out, it seemed like there were just like one or two flavors and you were just like, all right, these are okay, but man, there's a ton of flavors out there. You gotta
It seems like there's flavors I've never even like heard of. It's what fruit is that? And
right? Like
like,
blue grape pomegranate or something.
yeah, or like there's one that's like pomade or
Yeah.
promenade or some weird name. It's like that just doesn't seem real.
That's hilarious. No, and I always tease Cassie. She's always been a big blue raspberry fan, and I'm
Mhm.
always like, that's a made up flavor. Like, there's no blue raspberries out there. Um,
Raspberries aren't blue.
right? No kidding. But with that, what are good drinks like this without a little bit of sports on in the background, right?
Exactly.
So I can't. It seems weird. I mean, first of all, September 11th. Not just a date, obviously. Want to give special thanks to all the family and people out there that gave their lives this day in tragic events. But yeah, it's crazy to think we've already passed Labor Day, dude. And we're going into the third week of college football and going into the second week of the NFL football. What are your
It's
thoughts the first couple of
mm,
weeks?
it's like the best time of year, but how the hell is summer already over?
I know. Well, it's crazy. It feels like we're about to get like a weeks long worth of summer weather.
I know. Can we just like move from the hundreds and actually get fall weather? Football's
Seriously.
back, so just give us fall weather. That's all we need.
Seriously. Seriously. Well, yeah. Did you watch much college football this last week?
I watched a decent amount. Went to the Gopher game, so
Oh, you
got
did go?
got a little up close and personal with Gophers in Rhode Island.
Nice. I had another buddy that went there, and that was, yeah, why don't we just start off with that? That was dominating win, and we'll get into the Vikings later, but I kind of look at the Vikings win and the Gophers win a little bit similarly, where they're games they should have won.
Mhm.
So it's kind of some of those games that, like, hey, like, let's be happy, and let's celebrate the win. And let's not pretend like we're national title champions because we beat
Yeah,
up on Rhode Island, or let's not pretend we're Super Bowl contenders because we beat the Giants.
yeah. I mean, it's good teams win, great teams kill the bad teams, and we, as Minnesota sports and all of the sports, never kill the bad teams. Finally,
No,
doing that is a weird feeling, almost.
that's true. That's true. Well, and what was it? Because that's a great point to bring up. What was it? I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago. We were hosting Bowling Green, and
Yeah,
people thought we were going to just roll over them, which we should have. And we were like 20. We were almost 30-point favorites, weren't we, or something like that? Do you remember?
it was way too many points.
And we ended up winning, but we were like losing at points throughout the game and ended up winning by like maybe 8 or 9, I think, or
Yeah,
something.
I'm pretty sure that was like a homecoming game too. So another nail on the coffin.
That's insane. Well, and yeah, like I said too, I think the Gophers and the that's kind of how I feel about like the Gopher and Vikings games, but I kind of feel like they're a little bit different. Like the Vikings team there were so many questions around that Vikings team that
Mhm.
people just didn't know what to expect, I feel like. But
Yeah.
this Gopher team, PJ Fleck has kind of built them up year after year, and ever since 2019, I kind of feel like people have been waiting for this team to take that next step. And I honestly think starting off 2-0 with getting a win over, I mean, it sucks that we lost to North Carolina. I had us losing to North Carolina, but um, it would have been nice to kind of get a win over North Carolina because this Gopher team is just too inconsistent. And if you look at our, 8 conference opponents, 4 of them are currently ranked, and the other 2 of the 4 that aren't ranked are teams that we've lost to before when we had no business losing to. So I
Mhm.
guess my first question to you, what are kind of your thoughts 2 weeks into the season for the Gophers being 1-1, and how do you see this season kind of turning out for them?
It's tough because they should have won that North Carolina game.
Mm-hmm.
You even saw it like the last drive when they actually let, is it Brosner, however you say it.
I've heard it's pronounced Brosmer, but I thought it was Brosmer before I watched the game. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
mean,
either one is wrong.
there's a lot of names that are hard to pronounce. But yeah, they finally let him throw, and then look what happens. You go down the field, they didn't score, or they didn't get a touchdown. But I just didn't. Part of that could have been him, first time in the offense, first game, trying to get a feel for it. I mean, they looked good Saturday, obviously, Rhode Island, but you saw, Bucky, or wow, not Bucky or anything. Wow, Darius Taylor. You saw
Yeah,
when he got back, he looked phenomenal, and Brosmer was making good throws. Their defense looks solid.
yeah.
I don't think they maybe could get a bowl game. I don't, even with the 16 or is it 12 team playoff, I don't think they're going to do anything. It's tough because I mean they play USC this year, right? I think
Yeah,
that's
USC. Yeah, it was just I
they're a good
thought I
team.
had it up. But yeah, we have some. Not only do we have some tough opponents, but some of these tough opponents we actually go to them, which makes it tougher. So I mean, yeah, we got Nevada, but then we host Iowa, go to Michigan, host USC, go to UCLA,
Mhm.
host Maryland, go to Illinois, go to Rutgers, host Penn State, and then host Wisconsin. So again, if you look at, or Iowa was ranked, but of the 4 teams on our schedule that have been ranked, UCLA is not supposed to be great, but we've shown that, Northwestern last year, we had no reason playing Northwestern close, and we lost to them in overtime. Same thing with Illinois and Rutgers, but we're going to them. So, I
Well, I
mean,
think both
anything.
Illinois and Rutgers are supposed to be good this year. Not just because I like Rutgers, but I know Illinois is supposed to be good. Rutgers, Kyle Monangai, their running back is nasty. It's a good year for college football. There's nothing besides Georgia, Ohio State, and forget who else they ranked up there. But besides them, there's no like shoe away teams really. Besides some of those MAC teams, but
Yeah, no, I gotta say, I'm kind of glad. I would have liked to have played. I don't know if we played them last year, Nebraska. Yeah, we played them last year.
we play them this year.
We played them last year, and we beat them. And I'm glad we don't have them on the schedule this year because that Dylan Raiola, he looks like the next. I don't want to call him the next Patrick Mahomes because that's putting a lot of pressure on a guy. Just like saying, "Hey, you're the next Wayne Gretzky, you're the next Michael Jordan, LeBron James." Like that's just a
Yeah,
lot of pressure put on a guy. But I think this kid is unbelievable, and the fact that he was able to, or the fact that Nebraska was able to get him is number one game changing because it shows that, hey, like you can be a great quarterback and
yeah,
you don't have to go to a top school to do well or to get this notoriety. Like, if
yeah.
you're good, you're going to be good anywhere you go.
I just figured you were gonna say the Patrick Mahomes thing because all the similarities. That's kind of a
Well,
little like crazy almost.
and it's borderline. I was listening to Big Cat, and I can't remember who the other guy is that they do those shows together with,
Oh,
but
PFT.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
they were like, it's borderline creepy. And it really is. Like, and it's not in a bad way. It's just like, holy crap, the dude looked like him. He's making plays like him. Like I'm
Even
looking
did like his pregame celebration, like the little, which I mean, that's kind of like maybe is somewhat of a stretch, but it's almost like down to the facial hair,
right.
the
It's
sunglasses pregame. I mean,
I mean it's insane. I mean this kid threw 2 games already, has thrown for over 400 yards, completing over 73% of his passes, only 3 touchdowns. Um, but I mean, this is a kid who is like a true freshman. Like
is he?
this isn't a redshirt freshman. Yeah,
Oh
he
wow,
is. Like
didn't even
he
know
was
that.
a 20. What's it like a 2024 recruit?
He was a 5-star, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I maybe 5 star for sure. 4 star might have been a five
Is he?
star. Yeah, I
Some,
can't remember who he was, but he was committed to a powerhouse before his dad actually, I think, played for Nebraska and kind of helped kind of sway him.
yeah, I know. Come on, Nebraska. Why them? Even the jerseys are similar to the Chiefs jerseys.
They kind of are. No, exactly. So like what they were just kind of talking about, the similarities are there, and again, that's just going to happen. Like if you're a great hockey player, you're going to be you're going to be dubbed, the next Sidney Crosby, the next Evgeny, or the next Alexander Ovechkin. If you're a good basketball player, you're going to be dubbed the next LeBron James, the next Michael Jordan.
Anthony
Um,
Edwards.
but I think like if you're what
I said Anthony Edwards as well.
and freaking men. But I think putting that on there, like I'm sure, like if you're a professional, if you're aspiring to be a professional athlete, you have something of an ego or something of the confidence.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, how the hell do you expect anybody else to? But I think, I mean, the good guys or the good players will just, not listen to that. So
Yeah. I mean, he's a phenomenal quarterback. I forget who they played the first week. Is that I think that might have been like a one of those throwaway early week ones, but
yeah.
it's tough to base it off of the Colorado game because I don't think Colorado is really anything. It kind of showed.
See, and I hear you. I hear a lot of people talking like that. There was something about coming into this year with Deion Sanders still at the helm,
Mhm.
Shador after a year like last year, Shiloh, Travis Hunter. Like I thought that team would be in the college playoff hunt, and it looks like that's a pipe dream at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean they have so much talent. Travis Hunter is unbelievable. I didn't watch a ton of their games last year, so I always kind of went off of social media and thought that Shador wasn't that great. Turns out he's, from what I've heard, actually really good. And I like Dion, but it's more like they're so easy to hate almost. Like you saw the Shador Sanders comments after
Yeah.
playing the whole line. Like everyone's gonna celebrate you guys losing because of stuff like that.
Well, and that's just the thing. It's not, because of the names, I feel like you either love them or hate them. Like, I
Yeah.
always thought Deion Sanders was a great coach or a
Mhm.
great player. You love, as a sports fan, you love kind of seeing those players come back, become coaches, and, you
Yeah.
want to root for them.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, you barely eke out like North Dakota State, no doubt is a great team. They're a FCS powerhouse, but you barely beat them at home at the first week, 5 points. Then you lose to Nebraska, who, don't get me wrong, I think of Nebraska still being slept on a little bit, not because of necessarily Dylan Raiola, but because of their history.
Yeah.
Like it's like, you know, the consistency.
Yeah.
People hated the Yankees in the early 2000s because they just kept winning. You
Yeah.
know,
People
Nebraska,
hated the
nobody.
Patriots. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So still new, but I mean, yeah, I mean, talking about Colorado, I look at their schedule. They still got Kansas State, who's 14, Arizona, who's 20, Utah, who's 12, and Oklahoma State in 13. So,
Like
I mean, I think for them, you definitely probably have to win out, if not at least beating 3 of those teams and trying to get some help, because at this point, their best chance of going is to be the Big 12 champion,
yeah.
because I think the blemish against Nebraska and playing North Dakota State so close, anything less of a Big 12 champion, they're probably not going to get a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11, 12 nod.
I agree. They really, for sure, they have to win 3 out of those, and I feel like one of them's got to be. I don't want to say like a killing, but they got to, win by a good margin because especially
That's true.
the name Colorado. Deion Sanders, Shador. The
Mm-hmm.
names will help them for the college football playoffs, the committee to pick them. But if they win the Big 12, obviously. But you never know. It's really up in the air.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, yeah, it's like I said, we've had a lot of good college football. Aside from the, usual powerhouses, the Georgias and Ohio States and stuff like that, there have been a decent amount of upsets these first couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. They
It's
finally
great.
get a break from just the constant dominations of, besides, like you were saying, the obvious Georgias.
Exactly. It's nice to see that some of these teams. I mean, like I look at Georgia Tech against Florida State. Did you watch that first game of the season?
Oh, the Ireland one, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first game I did for college football pick parlays, and what was it? It was, I think Florida State was favored by 9.5 or something points.
I think
And
that
I
was
said that, I'm like, I don't necessarily think Georgia Tech is going to win. I just think, that first game of the season, Florida State is, not, coming off of, not a great ending to their season. It's going to be a closer game.
it.
And lo and behold, they ended up winning that game.
Yeah, that
It was
was,
insane.
I mean, that was a really weird game because I feel like Florida State had so much hype going into them. And then I'm going to butcher the name, but Ugalele did not
I
look
don't,
good.
yeah, I was going to say something worse than that. So,
Well, then they go to, I don't know if it was at Boston College or in Florida State, and then they lose that one. And that's no
yeah,
disrespect to Boston College, but they're a hockey school.
no, exactly. And I don't think they've ever been, not to be mean, I don't think they've really been respected as a football school since Matty Ice was there. I think that's where Matt Ryan played, I
He
believe.
was, yeah, he was BC. That's right.
Um, but that was when we were babies.
I might not have been born yet.
There's a chance. Well, because that guy, and that's the other crazy thing about. We'll get into our picks in a minute, but on that topic, that's another crazy point. Like you think about professional sports, like Tom Brady, dude's really not that old. Like
No.
he's 43, 42. Like that's not much older than me. But you think in terms of professional sports, especially a sport like hockey or football, where regardless of your position, you're just getting beat every single play, every single game, every single week. It takes a toll on your body. So as much as you look at a guy like Tom Brady, who's 42, or even Matt Ryan, who I think maybe a couple years older at 46,
Yeah.
these guys in the scheme of things are not old. But
No.
you think about it in terms of sports, there are so many 20-year-olds that
Mhm.
are just that much faster because they're just getting into that stretch of
Yeah.
their life.
You have to play it, very. You have to jump the line a little bit because Tom
Yeah.
Brady wasn't fast, but he was phenomenal at other things, so he had to use that to his advantage.
And he knew when to run.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't a pretty run, but he knew when to run.
No, exactly. Exactly. Well, I know we kind of went over it a little bit before we got on, but yeah, so with all the football games, what what I was gonna say, if you're a betting man, but I know you're a betting man. So as a
Yeah.
betting man, what college football picks do you want to give to the mini weekend fans that you like for a week 3 here for college football?
Yeah. I mean, when I was looking at the board and I'm just kind of
I mean, there's
glancing
obviously
into.
so many to pick from.
Yeah, I mean, I know the game last year. I don't really know much about Colorado State, and I don't want to butcher Colorado more, but I know the game last year was a close game. I feel like Colorado State +7 sounds like a very doable thing, especially how Nebraska just kind of tore that defense apart.
Okay. So
This
Colorado
isn't.
State +7. I like that. If you don't mind me asking, do you think Colorado State? And again, Colorado, because you've been betting for so long, like what that entails. Do
Mhm.
you think Colorado State will just lose by less than 7 points, or do you actually think they can win that game outright?
I think they could win it. I don't want to say they will, but I think it could come down to a Colorado field goal at the end. some weird thing like that. But I could also see Colorado State. I guess I
gotcha.
don't. I'm assuming it's in Colorado, but I'm
Yeah.
not entirely sure.
Okay. I gotcha. I like it. All right. And you said, and the last time you checked, you said it was Colorado State. The line was +7.
Look right. Yeah, right now it's +7.
Okay. All right. So losing within a touchdown. I like it. That seems like a good line for that game too, because
It does, yeah.
I feel like had Colorado maybe start off a little bit better, you would hammer that Colorado, line.
Yeah. I'm surprised they don't have it at like 7.5 because I could see that coming down to Colorado winning with a
Yeah,
like end of the game touchdown and then it
that's
pushes.
true. Yeah, which is bullshit. I hate pushes. They're the worst.
It's so pointless.
Especially when it's your last of a 5 thing parlay leg
Yeah.
that you're about to turn $5 into like 5,200. Not that happens. Not that that's happened to me recently or anything.
Oh, it's the worst.
I hate it. Well, I like it. All right, that's the first pick. Do you like any other picks?
I kind of like Indiana -3 against UCLA. This is kind of like going off of some of my good friends who know more about college football telling me how they're going to be playing, and I've heard Indiana's good. I don't know if I trust UCLA. They're no USC, so I don't mind the -3. I just feel like actually I if it's in Indiana, I think I even like it more.
Ooh.
Not more to change the line or anything, but enough. It's at UCLA. Still like it.
All right. No, I like it. I think you bring up a good point. I think UCLA, honestly, they weren't necessarily ever on USC's level religiously, but up until 4 years ago, they were usually kind of average, on a good year would jump up into the thick of things in the Pac-12. But these last couple of years, I would agree with you. It feels like they've kind of lost a step. And again, looking at this Gophers schedule, I can't help but hope that's a game that they can steal and try to get, that bowl game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I like it, man.
Oh, Minnesota's -17.5. I know it's Nevada, but that's a lot of points for the Gophers.
Is that one of your picks this week?
No, I can't. I think it sounds
Can't
like
be safe.
yeah. I saw one that I feel like seems like a cop out pick, but I like Alabama -16 against Wisconsin. They should have lost to is it Central Michigan they played, and then I forget who they played last week, but they almost lost that too. They covered, but great teams cover, I guess.
No.
So yeah, no, I think that's the least confident one, I would say.
Okay.
Just because I don't know if I really trust Jalen Milroe, but I also don't trust Wisconsin's offense ever.
Yeah. All right. Well, no, I like it. So in recap, we got Colorado State +7.
Yeah.
We got UCLA minus, you said 3.
Or Indiana -3.
Or Indiana -3 over UCLA. And then Alabama +16 is the latest line you saw for them?
-16.
-16? That's
feels
crazy.
disgusting.
That's crazy.
Alabama.
That's crazy because that's one of my picks. And when I was looking at it earlier, it was at 16 too. I thought it was 17. All right, I like it. It's also worth noting for guest picks. As you guys know, last week was the first week. First guest, Sam, went 2 of 3, hitting 67%. Is not bad. So
Am I supposed to
hopefully
follow
you
that?
can, hopefully you can keep that trend going and keep people coming back for all the picks.
Yeah, I can try. I'm more confident in NFL gambling than I am in college.
Oh my gosh, dude! You hold on to your. We are going to get into it. But before we get going, I will give you guys my college football parlays. This is the mini weekend's third week doing it. Last week we had a clean sweep. I screwed up and don't have my thing up on me, but all 3 of them hit. So now we're 5 for 6 through the first 2 weeks, 83% hit rate. So looking to keep that up for everybody. And crap, I forgot to do this before you did your picks. Any picks, college football, NFL football, you hear from Joey or I. Neither of us are financial advisors. These are strictly all our opinions. We are not liable for any losses, just like as much as we would like to, we're not going to come ask for any of your winnings should you win. You'd be amazed when I first started doing these betting tips. When did we start doing this, Minnie? The end of it's 24, right? I think the end of 23, because I feel like end of 22, because 2023 was like the first year I did football stuff, and then people said, they wanted more. My wife and a good friend of mine were like, yo, like, it's probably not the end of the world, but they're like, you should really have a disclaimer. And it was actually my brother-in-law, because he's like, if you look at some of these other, like, what's Big Cat show again?
Pardon my take.
Yeah, pardon my take. Like, all these places, they have, whether they're saying it out loud or if they have it like in a description, they have a disclaimer.
Yeah.
So like, you should just cover my ass.
Well, 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem, anyone.
We talked about it last week too. Gamble, responsibly. Know your limits, know your financial situations. But have fun with it, because it can be fun. I don't know about Joey, but really quickly before I get into mine, I'm very much a low risk, high reward bettor, where if I'm placing bets, it's usually almost always a parlay, and I'm trying to turn anywhere from $1 to $10 into like $1,000. Like, I'm usually not someone putting $1,000 on one game to hit.
No, yeah, I'm the same. That's like the same range. Maybe I'll do a $20 if it's like a future, like UConn basketball next year, probably.
Oh my God. I can't believe that hit. How much did you win last year again on that?
The year before that was when I won 660. And then last year, I think I'd only won like 100. I don't want to say only.
It's still a big deal to win a future bet, though.
That was like the first future I've hit, I think, ever. And that felt amazing.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Excuse me. All right. So moving right along. So yes, transitioning from your last pick into my first pick, or not my first pick, but I do have Alabama for you guys. But my first game is actually coming up. It'll be one of the 2 Friday night games. And my first game I got for you guys is Arizona and Kansas State. And currently right now, the over-under is at 60.5. Hammer that over. Arizona has scored a combined 83 points in their first 2 games, while Kansas State has put up 75 points in their first 2 games. Now, a lot of you guys may be saying, well, Jack, they didn't play great teams. Even though you may be right on that, they've given up more points they should be allowing. These defenses, I don't think it's fair to say they're trash, but these are both high-powered offenses with defense that are suspect at best. Hammer that over. After looking at the points that both these teams have put up, I was surprised that this was in the 60s and not in the 70s. So as long as it's below 70, hammer it. Hammer it. Both of these teams, I would be surprised if they don't score 35 apiece. So that's the first leg I got for you guys. Leg 2, Alabama. We've seen in the past with Nick Saban, when they start off kind of slow, that's usually when they're the most dangerous. And believe me, it brings me no pleasure to, hype up Alabama. But Alabama at 16 over Wisconsin, I really like. I think the Badgers are going to have an off year. And I think Alabama is going to try to get off to an early start. And in doing so, will take the fans right out of the stadium, which is, you and me both know this, watching the Gophers go there, half of their team. If you get Camp Randall going, even against a team that's not usually up to Wisconsin Badgers tier or level of where they should be playing, it's a hard place to win.
Well, it's one of the drunkest cities for a reason. Fans like to get after it.
Good old Wisconsin. Love to hate them, right? And then finally, my last one for you guys, third and final leg, is I like Washington -5 over Washington State. I think they handled Texas Tech in week 2, and I think Texas Tech is a better team this year than Washington State. So I think Washington will get after it, and they're playing for the Apple Cup. I've never heard that, but that's a sweet cup to play
Yeah,
for.
that's sweet.
I want to play for that shit.
Yeah, that's awesome. My Apple Cup.
Right? Pretty badass. Well, yeah, so that's what I got for you guys. Once again, bet responsibly, gamble responsibly. But yeah, before we get into the NFL, I got 2 things I wanted us to talk about. One, have you seen those pictures of the Utah Hockey Club's jerseys?
I have, yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I don't hate the color scheme. I mean, they don't have their name yet, so it's
You
probably
can say it. They're awful.
yeah. I mean, they're not great. I do like the color scheme. They have the lightish blue with the black and white. I think that fits. It's just jerseys are kind of. They're not like the worst things ever, but they're just bleh. Like
They've easily got to be like, I don't know who else you would put up there because I can't remember off the top of my head, but there are some doozies out there. They've got to be in the running in like the top 3 for the worst in the NHL. I guess the more I think about it, and for the video podcast listeners, I will put up a clip for you guys to see them. I guess to your point, yeah, the color scheme isn't terrible, but with the fact that they don't have a team name, which is fine. This is brand new, hasn't even been there for a year. But I think even though you kind of are married to the fact that, hey, we're going to take our time branding and getting a name and stuff like that. And you did, Utah Hockey Club. Put a little flavor, put a little something into your jerseys to get the people hyped up about it. Like you said, I think the color scheme isn't bad, but don't look like copy paste. Like it's just it looks like a jersey that should be used in like mites.
Or like a practice jersey.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's tough too because they came from, which in my opinion, the best jersey in all of sports with the Arizona Coyotes.
That throwback one was pretty
that
sick.
Logo with a throwback where they had like the stripe and then the little border on the bottom. I thought those were the coolest jerseys in sports. And then you go to these things and it's just like, they're so bland.
But I think, and really quickly, I think as much as that was as much as those were sweet uniforms and stuff like that, the NHL definitely made the right move by getting the NHL out of Arizona. The market just clearly isn't there anymore. I know the fans are broken. The few fans are broken up about it, but I know the players are even more broken up about it because you're building a family there and everything like that. And I think part of it is too, they don't know if long-term Utah is going to be the same place. It sounds like Arizona may be getting another team, whether it's that team or an expansion team in the next couple of years or whatever. So,
well, probably so too, because Arizona's. I mean, you go to practice and then you just go golf all day. That's life. So they're like, no, I mean, Utah's, I've heard, beautiful, but doesn't have the amount of courses as Arizona. I know it has sweet courses.
I think character. That was the word I was looking to find. Like at least put a little bit of character in the jersey to kind of get the fans kind of excited for something. Because I think I speak for a lot of people when the Utah fans were super excited and wanting a logo, wanting a brand and something to get excited about. And then when they didn't, I could be wrong because I live in Minnesota, but I know if I were a hockey fan in Utah, I'd probably think, okay, that's fine. Hopefully they'll come out with some decent jerseys for the 1 year we're going to be known as the Utah Hockey Club, but then you drop those.
Yeah. And I think that's probably what they're banking on, at least, that they're going to change it once they get a name. Like, hopefully.
Well, and you have to think come the 25, 26 season, like over a year, like you've got to have a name for your team by then, huh?
You would think. I'm really hoping they go with Yeti. I like the Utah Yeti.
Yeti, or there was
just anything better than Golden Knights. That was one of the worst name choices especially in Vegas where you could have 7 million different things.
The Aces. Well, I guess that's the WNBA team out there, but that would have been sick. or something gambling related.
I
Like,
know. It's like apparently they didn't want to be a part of gambling. It's like that's your city. That's what it is. Like,
yeah, like that's literally why people go to your city. And it's funny you bring that up because I remember when within the year after Vegas getting their team, so many analysts and everything like that were going to be like, weirdly enough, the guys in Vegas will know how to not have gambling and not have the strip and everything be a distraction for them, which will
mhm.
be an advantage that they have over visiting teams. And again, you're like, holy shit, like you don't even think about shit like that.
Yeah, it's that would be a fun place to go as a visiting team.
Or as a visiting fan.
Just say team just because they have a lot more money than I do, so they could
No
gamble
doubt.
more.
It would be a sweet city to go see a Wild and Golden Knights game though.
It would
So
be awesome. I would get really upset because I hate the Knights, but yeah, it would be sick.
yeah. Well, yeah. We're everybody that's patiently waiting. We're gonna get into the NFL, but it's been a while since we've done the video podcast. Since we've done a uh, local business shout out, and this week with their latest drop this week, we're gonna give the good another big shout out. This is one of the two limited sweatshirts that they dropped last year. They're in their 4th year of doing stuff. Did you see the drop
Yeah,
just yesterday? Oh my
they,
god!
they just keep getting them better. I think I got one years ago when during like
So
one of the first drops they did in the year, and expensive, but they're so fucking worth it. They're so
oh
nice.
my gosh! So yes, so worth it, so worth it. And this it was so cool. Did you see the ones that they came out with? So the 8 teams that they're doing 4 drops. I
Mhm.
don't know for sure. Don't quote me on this, but I'm assuming they would probably do one in September, one in October, one in November, and one in December. Maybe 2 in 1 month, and
I could see
whatever.
them doing that, and then like a surprise one.
Yeah, maybe at the end of the season or
Yeah.
something. But dude, the track suits, I didn't realize they were going to be like jackets.
Hmm.
And I saw that it was coming out with purple. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna get this one. I got my purple one. I got the gold one from
Hmm.
last year too. And I was like, I'll wait for, maybe a deeper purple or a black or a white or something different. And then it came out that there were pants with them too. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have gotten this one.
Just take my money.
Seriously. But no, on the real, I don't know other than that how much UNRL stuff you have. I have a handful of shirts. I have sweatshirt, like normal sweatshirts from them. I mean, if you go onto their website, unrl.co, they talk about, being, an innovator in the athleisure world. And they really are. I would say they're cheaper than Lululemon, but
Hmm.
they're probably in the same
They're
the
very
same
comparable.
as
Yeah,
yeah, very comparable. A little bit more cheap. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than Lululemon. Um, and it's fantastic material.
I got a decent amount of it. I got, I think, one or two hats of theirs, and they're
Yep, they got some
yeah,
nice hats too.
they're so nice. They have good. I don't think I have any of their golf apparel, but I have some friends that have them, and it looks phenomenal.
And look, and like I said, they're athleisure, and if you go take a look, you can follow them on Facebook. I think they have Twitter, but they also
Hmm.
have Instagram and TikTok and everything as well. But yeah, they're doing the 8 teams again this year. It's the 4th year that they're doing it. 3 more drops. Go check them out. They're not paying me yet. Notice I said yet. But yeah, I promise you guys, if you're kind of into, the athleisure, sweatshirts, they kind of brand themselves as, this is stuff that you can wear from the gym to work to the flight to essentially like the airport, like to anywhere. So go check them out. Super comfy. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, you can wear them any time of the year too. They're warm enough
You
for
really
winter, and summer you can still wear them too. They're
I
perfect.
have a couple pairs of their shorts actually, and I wear their shorts to bed in the middle of winter.
Yeah, their company is they got some good clothing.
And even I've worn their golf pants. I've worn them in the dead of summer, 80 degrees, because that's the kind of pants they are. They're pants,
Yeah,
but they're breathable. They're
yeah.
thin, and you know,
And you
I
could wear
get
them outside of golf too. Like you could wear them golfing at it, and it's one of those 80, 90-degree days and still not be insanely hot. They're great. They're great company. They good stuff besides the Packers stuff.
I think you meant Vikings.
I'm saying besides the Packers
Oh,
stuff.
besides, oh, good, 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 good. I missed up your words there. And then lastly, before we move on for you guys, their university collection. So this is, I think, what makes them awesome. They're always looking to do different things. So if you live in the great state of Minnesota and you are a University of Minnesota Mankato, UST St. Thomas alum, he actually went to Mankato, which is awesome. Have you gotten any of their stuff there? Yeah. Did you really know?
This was back when they had the game day or the.
Hockey.
I got
That
this
is
hat, and then they had like
that is
a thicker sweatshirt with I can't even hockey day. I always forget what it's called. It's really
oh yeah,
nice.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's nice. So no, and they got St. Thomas stuff. So again, we spent a lot of time talking about St. Thomas and our professional sports. So if you're an alumni of the University of St. Thomas, Mankato, Nebraska, Iowa State, University of Iowa, North Dakota Fighting Hawks, North Dakota State University, or the U of M, they have apparel for all of those colleges, and you can bet your ass I haven't gotten it yet. I feel bad shouting them out about this, and I haven't even gotten this shit yet. I will be. But with that, week 1, the NFL, my friend. Feels crazy that we're already a week in. What were your overall? I know you're just like me. You especially watched the Vikings game, but you watched a lot of different football throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
What was your overall reaction to the games, the week, and whether it was surprised in a good way or a bad way? What were some of the games that kind of stood out to you in the first week as well?
Well, it's first off the refing all around the league was not great, especially the Ravens Chiefs game.
Pretty inconsistent.
Obviously, I didn't really watch it. Kind of a bore of a game, but the Bengals losing to the Patriots, that
Yeah.
was insane. That killed me in the Survivor League because I picked the Bengals to win.
Dude, so did I.
Yeah, that was probably the most surprising. I think the Steelers Falcons game was interesting with all the hype going into the Falcons. I'm not going
Yeah.
to cheer against Kirk, but it was kind of funny to see him throw those interceptions, and we won.
Yeah. No.
I also say the Rams line game was phenomenal. We knew the
Mhm.
Lions were going to be good. I did expect the Rams to be good, but they looked better than I thought they would be.
Really.
Yeah. And then I guess the Bears weren't good, which was funny.
Well, and we kind of got a glimpse because last year Puka Nacua kind of jumped onto the scene because he was that wide receiver 1,
Mm-hmm.
and he looked great because not that Cooper Kupp is bad, but he looked great because he was the guy. He was able to beat the guy, and he kind of stood out that way. And I
Mm-hmm.
think got a glimpse Sunday night. It was.
Yeah.
We got a glimpse of how good that team could actually be with both of them healthy. Unfortunately, they weren't both able to end the game, which I think if Puka stayed healthy, they probably would have edged out that game. Just
Well,
with the way they were taking the way they were managing
no.
their drives together after he kind of went out. I don't think they were kind of at a stalemate, but you kind of had to go to some different plays that you really hadn't ran much of the game because now he's gone.
Yeah, they almost had to go back to the Super Bowl win where it was just feed Cooper Kupp. It worked for most of it. Yeah, that was I still hate the one team gets the ball if it's a touchdown in overtime. I still hate that rule because there's no way that game should have ended like that. That was too good of a game to not have Stafford have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know what the answer is because obviously I'm thankful that in the playoffs, regardless of what happens on the first drive, the second team gets a chance to tie it up, which is smart because that's what needs to be happen in playoffs. Now, exactly what you said. now the next question is, well, should that be in the regular season? And I think you kind of have that line of, yeah, you probably should, because, that's the fairest way to get, the correct um, standings and records and everything like that. But the con is, well, then you have too many long games.
Yeah.
So if it's a noon game, you're getting into half of the 3 o'clock game that should be on there, and teams are, upset about views and stuff like that. So
Yeah, but I
I
mean,
don't really,
it's like that's a night game. That's a game where it's like if you're a football fan, you wanted more of that. If it would have been
for sure.
Giants Vikings, no, we didn't need any more of that. That was all right.
No. Um, but yeah, no, I have to say it was a fun week. It was
Yeah,
a fun week. We had a good amount of games that kind of went the way they should have. Truthfully, despite the fact that the Ravens lost in the season opener, I was more surprised by the Ravens in that game than the Chiefs.
in what way?
Truthfully, just in the fact that they just looked like the better team. I think it sounds stupid, and I remember Russ, the whole Russell Westbrook. Russ, did the Oklahoma City Thunder lose this game, or did the
Yeah,
so and so win this game? Like, what are you talking about? But there is some truth to that. I think the Ravens, even though they lost, this was more of a Ravens loss than it was a Chiefs win. And as much as the Chiefs won, they didn't look great. And I
yeah,
think if they keep up that level of play, like the best thing that they did for themselves is capitalize on the Ravens' miscues. I think if the Ravens didn't have those miscues and they at least got 3 points out of those drives, Ravens win that game. So I
that's
was
what.
more impressed with
Yeah,
Isaiah likely showing up. I was more impressed with the things that they were able to do rather than, wow, the Chiefs, edged out a Ravens team by 7 points and they capitalized on, two mishaps. Like, that's
yeah,
not a Chiefs team we're used to seeing.
yeah. No, I'm the same way. I don't think the Chiefs were horrible by any means, but they always do kind of start out like this. They lost to the Lions week one last year, but I thought Lamar, at least in the second half, looked really good. I just thought they strayed away from running, the big boy Derrick Henry,
Mm-hmm.
and that when you take away the running, which your team is kind of built around, and I mean, they have some good receivers. Zay Flowers
Mm-hmm.
is good. Bateman, I think, is still good. I don't think they have like a game
It's still
breaking
young.
receiver.
Yeah.
Like I thought, Rasheed Rice was phenomenal in that game. Xavier Worthy, those 2 touchdowns were great. They don't have
They
like a Jefferson or a even you could even say like Daniel Jones with Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors looked good in that game.
He
You
did,
need
yeah.
you need a star receiver.
Yeah, you need a
Not that they're
go-to.
not stars, but you need a true number one.
Yeah, someone to kind of break out and kind of say, hey, you know, I may not be head and shoulders better than these guys, but I'm clearly like the go-to target if we need a big play. No, I would agree with that. I kind of like this week because who doesn't like to feel like, man, I was right. So many people this last week were, oh my gosh, I can't believe the Falcons lost. I can. I didn't think like people forget, despite some of these teams Mike Tomlin has had in his last however many years, he's a great coach. He knows
Yeah,
how to win games. That on top of that, you're playing a guy like Kirk Cousins, he's on the decline. People were, oh my gosh, the Cowboys lost by that much? I could believe that. Sean Watson isn't a great quarterback anymore. Like I saw that coming from a mile away. And the last one, what was the other one too? That everybody was surprised about that I was like, the
Bengals.
Bears. The
Oh, the
Bear,
Bears.
everybody's so hyped up on the Bears. No, not that one. The Jets. Aaron Rodgers is on the decline too, man. I think everybody's ready to give him that Super Bowl. They're gonna make the playoffs. I've said it before. I'll say it again. They're not gonna make the playoffs. I think they miss the playoffs barely. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. He will do enough to win them games and keep them competitive. But I think as the year goes on, after he does what he can and brings him just that short of the playoffs, I think he hangs him up after this year. He's lost a step. He's 40 years old.
Interesting.
And last thing I will say on week one, Chicago fans, chill out. Your defense is your defense. And I will give you got to give credit when credit's due, right? Like, game respect game. The Chicago defense looked amazing. Chicago fans, you can't expect your defense and special teams to play that way for 17 games. They
They're not
won a
playing,
game by 7 points. What?
they're not playing Will Levis every week. No offense to
No,
Will Levis.
no. They lost, or they won a game by 7 points. Their starting quarterback, who everybody thinks there is the second coming of Jesus, didn't even complete 50% of his passes. Didn't even throw for 100 yards. Their offense they didn't even get 200 yards of offense on the game, and they still found a way to win. That's like a silver lining. You want to get the first win under your belt. I get that. But if the Chicago Bears team is going to be taken seriously, Caleb Williams has to play it just night and day better than he did in the first week. And any Bears fan or any football fan that tells you, Joey, that, oh my, Caleb didn't look bad, they don't know anything about football. That was a terrible first week. I'm glad he got the monkey off his back and got the win, but no, just no.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Caleb Williams will be good. I honestly do like him. I think he's a likable dude.
I think he's kind of a nice taste.
Well, you kind of have to be when you're that touted as a prospect, and
yeah,
but he didn't look good. He was trying to do that at college, running it back. He was trying to do what Kyler Murray does, and there's no one can scramble like Kyler Murray.
And Kyler Murray's still not even great at it.
Yeah,
he's got him injured.
You're playing grown men now. You're not playing 18 to 20-year-olds. But I mean, yeah, their defense is phenomenal. Nothing I can say against that. I think this offseason gave people so much expectations for the Bears. They didn't do anything to their O-line. Their O-line is still trash.
No.
How is Caleb going to have time to throw it to those 3 stud receivers if he can really...
Keenan Allen's old, man.
I'm the same way. I love Keenan Allen. I think he's arguably like a top 10 receiver of all time, but he's on the decline. And yeah. I mean, the other two are, I got nothing bad. I don't really know Oduze, I guess, but
no. DJ Moore's pretty good, and I wouldn't consider him young anymore, but I also wouldn't consider him old. Rome Odunze, I mean, he's just got to continue to progress and develop the way that people think he is, and I think he'll be a fine receiver whether he stays with Chicago or not.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be like Jefferson, Devontae, Jamar Chase type, but I think he'll be in that like Chris Godwin-ish area where he's really good but not top 10.
Yeah, and I don't trust that Chicago Bears organization. I mean, maybe in the next couple of years, Poles and Eberflus prove us wrong, but they've never really done a great job. Like, look at a guy like Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler, I feel like never really quite hit his ceiling. I don't think that program over there does a good job of developing players. No. They do a better job of trying to bring guys in who they think are still in their prime or in the middle of their prime. They're not. Yeah. And if you can't develop a quarterback, if you can't develop a wide receiver, well, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, it's just like, I hope it's not the same, but it's similar to the Justin Fields when they brought him in, which I do think he could still be good on the right team, Justin Fields, but he had way less help than Caleb Williams, and he actually looked good at the end of, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
But only time will tell. Everyone was saying he was a shoo-in to win Rookie of the Year, Caleb Williams. I'm not even sure what the odds are now.
Yeah.
I think Jaden Daniels looked better than him, and he's on the worst team. Honestly, going into the draft, he was my number one quarterback. I wanted Jaden Daniels, but
yeah, I was really hoping we'd trade up to get Jaden Daniels too.
Actually, it was JJ McCarthy.
No, I'm super psyched you got JJ.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, I am too. He's very likable and looks like he has a work ethic like no other.
No, he does. And I think, again, I've said it before too, and, I'll say it to you. I think him, you never wish an injury upon anybody, even somebody on your, least favorite team. But I really think this injury for him is a blessing in disguise, because I think if you were going to develop him the right way, you would not have played him much, if at all, this year, and then figured out next year, maybe bringing back Darnold or getting another bridge quarterback for 1 year until he's 100% ready to be that guy by the end of the season. Because look at some of the best quarterbacks in the league, like Peyton Manning, like Tom Brady. These guys didn't like start being great right away. Like they got developed, they got guys put around
Aaron
him.
Rodgers didn't start until like his fourth year, or maybe even
No,
longer, something like that. And
exactly. So
it,
I think there's a little bit pressure, especially on young quarterbacks, to get them in right away.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
just for the fan base. It's just no, you're fine. I was just saying it's just the anxiousness of this year for the fan base now, because it's
for
like
sure.
I think most people agree. Like if we'd rather have him sit out, even if it wasn't a season-ending surgery. You'd still want to see him sit out because you don't want to. If he is the franchise quarterback, KOC has said it. I just want to make sure that he's still building chemistry with the team, which I assume he would be.
No doubt. Yeah. Well, yeah, and on that note, what was your biggest takeaway from, I mean, 28-6? Again, I think I mentioned it before we kind of got on the podcast. You kind of try to um tread that line of, hey, huge win, like good for us for getting that win. We're trying to kind of stay even keeled with the win and not get too ahead of ourselves because we beat a team that everybody knew was going to be trash this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So kind of like, what was your biggest takeaway from the win?
yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. Where it looked really good. I thought the defense looked phenomenal. I thought Van Ginkel stood out a lot. What I
Hmm.
noticed was our pass rush actually looked really good without Daniil. A little surprised about that. I
Right?
mean, again, still the Giants, but I think the biggest takeaway was honestly, and I have always been a huge fan of this guy, even though he was a Packer. Aaron Jones looked phenomenal when
He
he's
was only
healthy.
6 yards away from a century.
That's yeah. I mean, when he's healthy, he's a arguable top seven running back in the league.
Yeah. No, and to your point, Van Ginkel finished with four total sacks, two solos. Sorry, four total tackles, two solo tackles, a sack, pass defended, two QB hits, and one interception and one touchdown. So
I love that, and he's got
not a
the
bad game.
TJ Hawkinson hair too, the Vikings hair. He needed
And
to
I
be
think
here.
right. Well, and I think, I mean, you look at like Blake Cashman, six solo tackles, four solo tackles.
Yeah, he looked good too.
He did. Stephon Gilmore, four total tackles, three solo. Shaquille Griffin, same thing. When you look at some of these, Dallas Turner, three total sacks, three solo, all of them solo tackles. Sorry, I keep saying sacks. A sack, a tackle for loss, and a QB hit. Like, this is the game you wanted because I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think I speak for a lot of Vikings fans when a lot of people had a lot of questions about this defense because there were so many new names. And it wasn't a matter of, hey, they're not talented. It was more a matter of, okay, the talent's there. Are they going to mesh well? Are they going to connect well? Are they going to go well in Brian Flores' scheme? And I think we saw when clicking 100%, we looked like a well-oiled machine. After week one, only only the Dallas Cowboys finished with more sacks than us. They had six against Deshaun Watson. We had
And
five against Daniel Jones.
well, those are like the two worst quarterbacks in the league.
Exactly. So I mean, not that you're going to get five again, like you talked about earlier, not doing the same thing every single week. Not that you're going to get five easy sacks
Mm-hmm.
and 12 QB hits in every game, but to bring that pressure. And I thought we did a really, really good job when we were only rushing for of getting the pressure on. Like obviously New
Yeah,
York's offensive line isn't great either, but I think that's half the battle. You don't even look at the Vikings games. You look at football games as a whole, and the teams that put pressure on quarterbacks with just a four-man rush are really effective because when you're only rushing four, that means you got seven guys shadowing no more than what, two receivers, a tight end, and like four, maybe five guys.
yeah,
So a couple guys are double covered.
yeah. I think it's going to be a big year. I have a lot of hope in Dallas Turner. I think
Go
I
ahead.
think he's a defensive rookie of the year. I think he only got the one sack. I shouldn't say only, but he looked good. He was He was getting pressure. He was
It was.
beating one-on-ones, and I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I said in our football preview, I said he's going to lead. He's going to win Rookie of the Year, but what's going to lead him to that? I think he's going to lead all rookies in sacks. I wouldn't be surprised if he led all players in sacks his rookie year. This guy is a freak of nature. He's athletic. Dude, I don't want to misquote myself. He is 6'3", 247 pounds,
You would,
and ran like, I think, a 4.47 or something.
yeah,
40
yeah,
for a guy that's a freaking linebacker.
yeah.
So,
I mean, if he could beat out, the likes of Parsons, Watt, and Garrett for sacks, that would be
or I
amazing.
think if he, or I think if he's top 5 with those 3-4 other guys,
Oh yeah,
as a rookie,
and
that's a huge
it's like right
thing.
there. Yeah. Oh, that would be. I mean,
No, I like it.
I could definitely see it.
Yeah. No,
Don't want to have the overreactions, but that's what week one's for. It's all about.
well, yeah, hey, that's what being a fan's all about, baby.
Yeah, we might get humbled next or on Sunday, but
Yeah. Well, so I was gonna say, so you tell me, you want to look at week 2 as a whole, or week 2 for the Vikings first?
let's just do the Vikings since we're on it. It's
All
getting me
right.
hyped up.
What?
It's getting me hyped up.
Yeah. No, it is. So again for you, coming into this game, we obviously got San Fran. I don't know if you know this, but I saw earlier today they haven't ruled him out yet, but there is a strong possibility CMC is out this game.
They're not going to wait until the beginning, right before the game, and screw my fantasy over again.
Well, did you hear about that? So I don't know specifics, and I don't want to, but apparently, Mason, this guy, this stud running back that took over for CMC in his late game interview, was trying to be honest, and I'm sure, oh my gosh, he's an undrafted guy. Yeah, they told me Friday I was going to start. I was so happy, this and that, and the other thing. And Shanahan quickly came on in his press interview. He's like, no, he didn't. We didn't tell him that Friday. And the reason he said that was because they didn't officially list Christian McCaffrey out until it was late Saturday or early Sunday. But because of this discrepancy, the league is looking into that. I don't know what the fine is or anything like that, but apparently as soon as a player's status changes to you, you need to announce it.
Yeah.
So if it did happen, they're looking at maybe some money. I don't know specifics. But the line right now against the spread is -6 with no Christian McCaffrey. With Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you can do both. You can do one, whatever. How do you see this game going, and what could be the difference maker in whether we win or lose this game to you?
Didn't Trent Williams get hurt on Monday too? So like, if he's not playing, that does change completely everything.
It does.
Yeah, probably. It's like my one rule: never bet on the Vikings, but I do like their +6 because I think we play the 49ers at home really well. We beat them last year without JJ. Obviously, we had Kirk. I think we have.
They didn't have Debo last year.
Yeah, and they might not have CMC. Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa got tossed around like a rag doll by Darisaw. I think I don't want to get ahead of myself. I told myself it wasn't going to overreact the first week, but
this is a great thing. Why I love this. Give me what you think's going to happen. Don't tell me what's going to happen.
We lose by like a field goal. I think we can win it. I really do. It's just it's hard to tell with. There's not a lot to go off of, and I don't know if Addison's playing, and that can definitely change things.
Yeah. Yeah, the lingering question for Williams and Ayuk, yeah.
Be surprised if the Vikings blew them out. For some reason, that just wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, again, I talked about it a little bit on Twitter this last week. I talked to, we're obviously talking about it now. I think this win against the Giants is important. It showed this team, hey, it's okay to have some confidence. We beat a team. We got the win under our belt. I think they heard a lot of the noise too, because some of the swagger you could see in their celebrations and stuff, you could kind of tell it, hey, we showed up. We're beating a team that a lot of you motherfuckers like picked the Giants instead of
Yeah.
us.
Oh, you analysts thought we were going to suck.
Exactly, and they got the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if the San Francisco 49ers, before the season started, I chalked this game up to a loss. I just think top to bottom, as much as I hate to admit it, I don't mind saying it for the San Francisco 49ers, but the 49ers and the Detroit Lions are just top to bottom solid at just about every position. So when both those teams are fully healthy, I think they're 1-2, 2-1. But if they're without guys, I think they're a beatable team. I think anybody in this. I think you look around week one. I think everybody and anybody is beatable. I'm kind of like you. I kind of with the questions to Trent Williams, to Ayuk, with CMC seeming like he's not going to be out. It kind of feels like a trap game, like you said. It seems
Yeah.
like a game that you should easily say, yeah, pound that, under 6 for sure. Pound the under 6, but hey, bet, the money line. The Vikings are going to win this game. Well,
Yeah.
This is still Sam Darnold's second game as a Viking. This is still Aaron Jones' second game as a Viking. There's still a lot of unknowns, and like hopefully these guys, stay healthy for an entire season. Because I think if you get a healthy or relatively healthy season from all of our starters, most of our
Mm-hmm.
starters, you're looking at a team that the sky's the limit for. Unfortunately, I would probably have to agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think take that, while it's at +6, take the points.
Yeah.
I think I would at this point at the preseason or before the season, I would have said it would be a win if we lost by, less than 10 points. But now I'm saying I would be surprised if it's not a 3 or 4 point game in favor of either way. I wouldn't be surprised to see us win by 3 or 4 points. But yeah, the more I've done this podcast, I've talked to you about this too. It's made me more of a realistic fan, and my gut's just telling me I think it's going to be a good game. And I think playing with a team like this with so many new people by 3 or 4 points, as much as I hate to say it, it'll be a good moral victory for this team heading into the next couple
Yeah.
games too.
I mean, I could still also see it as a Justin Jefferson game where it's one of those games where he just takes over and wins it single handedly.
I got you. Well, okay. So with that, I'm curious. So every Vikings game, I do one bold offensive prediction and one bold defensive prediction. What do you got? Do you want me to give mine so you have a second to think, or do you want to go ahead and give yours?
You go first.
All right. So I am going to go. So what do you want me to hit you with first? Do you want offensive or defensive?
Let's go defensive first.
Defensive. Okay. I got the Vikings holding the 49ers to less than 100 rushing yards. I can't remember the name of the something Mason. Something Mason was the guy.
Yeah, Jordan Mason, yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Mason. And he ran circles around that Jets defense. I think this defensive line and these linebackers are feeling themselves. They had a good game against a crappy team, and they're ready to back that up. I think when you put pressure on Brock Purdy, you've seen in the past, when you make him uncomfortable, get in his face, he has a potential to throw errant throws, and those kind of things. But I think we hold that rushing threat to under 100 yards. And then offensively, a little bit different than what you had with JJ. I think Jalen Naylor gets over 100 receiving yards this game. Jordan Addison's latest ankle injury for me is probably going to force him out of game 2, I think, or either take him out completely or have a lesser role because of his injury. And if so, that's only going to open the doors for Jalen Naylor to receive more targets. He targeted Naylor just once in the week 1 win, but the former 6th-round pick made the most of it with, a TD. So I think the sky's the limit for him this year. I think when JJ and Addison are going to be both healthy, I think they're going to garner a lot of attention. So regardless of if Naylor seems to be the wide receiver 3, but on any given week when those two guys are healthy, that wide receiver 3 has the ability to be just as good as those two guys because they're going to be just not as guarded as much.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Uh,
what I got. And then I'll finish that off with, again, I got it as a loss. I think it'll be kind of higher scoring than people anticipate, but I got
mhm.
us essentially a falling short 28 to 24.
Yeah, I was when you were first saying the defense thing, I was thinking the same exact thing about Jalen Naylor. I
Really?
think even though I think JJ could have a game, if he doesn't and
Then
he
go
gets
with the gut.
doubled, I
Again,
think
go with the gut.
Naylor is he is fast, he's dynamic. It all kind of does depend on Addison if he plays or not. But if he doesn't, I 100% agree. And defense is I for some reason right when you said bold defensive prediction, I thought Dallas Turner scoop and score. It,
Ooh,
it seems like a Dallas Turner, he hits the quarterback or not, or forces the fumble. That's up in the air. But I think he gets a scoop and score.
okay. I like it. Hey, and I think honestly, as goofy as this sounds, going against a team that's this dominant, I think it really depends on who gets the ball first and how the first couple drives go. Because if San Fran, to your point, if San Fran gets the ball first and they go down and they score and they kind of get comfortable, that could take the air a little bit out of US Bank Stadium, just a little bit, maybe not a lot, but just a little bit, and that could help them in their favor.
Yeah.
But if we get the ball first and we score right away, or if San Fran gets the ball first and we get an interception, um their first drive, or if we get a scoop and score that first drive, that gets everybody ramped up. And
Mhm.
honestly, with how integrated this stadium is going to be, that could ultimately be a big factor in the final score as well.
Oh, God. If the first drive they got a pick, that stadium would erupt.
Oh my god, I'd love it. Well, all right, we'll start wrapping up, but before we do, I have a couple more questions for you. One, other than the Vikings game, what game are you most excited for in week 2, and why?
Um, when does this podcast release again? Is that Friday?
Um, Later tonight.
Later tonight? Okay, so I'm
So you
looking
can,
forward
so
to
if it's
both.
a Thursday night game, you can. That's why we start doing these on Wednesdays, because I used to do. So we end with like my parlay. How do I bet the Vikings game, a lock for the week, and an upset? And I, on occasion, would do a Thursday night game, and people were like, "Well, you should do your podcast Wednesday. So if you're gonna pick
Yeah.
Thursday, we can get your pick first." So yeah, go for it. This will air before.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking forward to most. I mean, I'm a
That
Josh
again?
Allen guy, and then two great offenses, and I just love watching Josh Allen play.
Yeah.
When he hurdles a guy, it doesn't look like it should work, and then it does. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, and even with it being so early in the season, that could very much be a pivotal game in who ends up winning the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be upset to see Josh Allen prove me wrong. I have them finishing third in the division and not making the playoffs simply because Josh Allen doesn't have a proven wide receiver one to throw to this year.
I was gonna say it's because he's one of those quarterbacks that has to essentially put everything on his back. James Cook is good. You never know about Keon
Yeah,
Coleman, but
yeah, and James Cook isn't the kind of guy you can hand the ball off to 50 times or,
yeah,
pitch him 50 times and have him get the brunt of your offense.
yeah. No, it'll be a interesting team to watch this year, especially because their defense is not really as good as it has been.
No doubt. No
The
doubt.
Bills, yeah, they interesting. I did forget about the Bucks and Lions. I think that's gonna be a good game. Bucks looked really good last week. I think
Yeah.
Baker's. I think Baker's back. I think it'll be. I think the Lions will still win, but you have two good defenses against two good offenses. I would say the Bucks are a good offense.
Yeah, they are. And I think that Tampa team really will go as far as Baker Mayfield takes him. He's proven to be the guy down there, but he's human just like anybody else, and he has bad games. It's just a matter of how many great games are you going to get from him, and how many, not so great games are you going to get from him.
No, I agree definitely.
No, I like those. For me, my game to watch for this week is a little bit different. I am going against two teams that are currently 0-1 and playing themselves. It's an interdivision matchup, and it'll be at 3:05 on Fox.
I think
The Rams go to Arizona.
yeah, that'll be a good.
I think this is a good matchup for a couple different reasons. One, it's an early season interdivision matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they're both 0-1 right now. And three, the one that does lose this game has a very good chance to go 0-3. And it's not impossible, but your chances of doing better than a lottery team for the Arizona Cardinals are making the playoffs for the Rams is an uphill battle. So it'll be a close game. I think the line's -1. But if you're the Rams and you lose to Arizona in week 2, week 3, you go home, and guess who you got to host? The Niners. Your second divisional matchup in 2 weeks, and the Niners. And if you're the Arizona Cardinals and you lose this game in week 3, guess who you're hosting? The Detroit Lions.
Wow.
So regardless of the win, whoever wins this game has the, both teams, regardless of who wins and who loses, has an opportunity to lose in game week 3. But I mean, they talk about it every single year, starting 0-3. Now that it's 17 games, going 0-4, and it's just an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But anything can happen.
Yeah, I honestly somehow forgot about that game because I remember thinking that I like that over because I think Arizona's offense showed last week they can be good, and I think Kyler Murray's going to have a good year. The Rams, I like Stafford a lot. I like Cooper Kupp. I like that offense, Kyron Williams. So I think it could be a high scoring game, kind of a shootout. I would think the Rams I could see the Rams pulling through just because they do have a little bit better defense. But Arizona's defense is they're no pushovers. They like to hit heavy.
Yeah, and when they stepped it up this last week or this last year too, Arizona, mind you, and Kyler's still getting back into to the thick of things because he was out for most of last year and most of actually 2022 as well. But if there were a couple plays where like Marvin Harrison Jr. was like wide open, 3 plays, and Kyler didn't throw to him, so you can't help but think, hey, if Kyler finds him on those 3 plays, they probably beat the Bills because that game was a lot closer than I think a lot of people anticipated.
Yeah, I had Marvin Harrison in 2 leagues, so that hurt.
But on that, I am going to contrast you really quick, my friend. So I'm going to start off my parlay for you folks. First of all, like I said, take Vikes +6. Don't really have to add on to anything else that I've already brought up. But my upset for the week, and I know some people might be thinking, oh my gosh, he's taking the easy way out. Fuck you. I actually like the Cardinals +1 over the Rams. This is the second straight road game opening up the season for the Rams, which is always tough in and of itself. And let's be honest, they're a little bit banged up on their offensive line. They're also going to be without Puka Nacua for at least this next week, maybe more. And it's worth noting that despite the Cardinals' 34-28 loss to the Bills, at one point they were leading them 17-3. So I think this time they're going to get on the board with enough offense to keep them ahead for most of the game and get them their first win of the series or the season. Then my last pick for you guys to round out my 3-game parlay for you, I like the Ravens minus. It was 9.5 at the beginning of the day. It's -8.5 now. Over the Raiders. Then again, this is the second straight road game for the Raiders against a team that's going to be playing their home opener. The Ravens are, it's an East Coast trip for them too. And I think what else? I don't think the Ravens are going to struggle. They're one of the top rushing attack teams, and the Raiders got destroyed that first week by the Chargers, the rushing attack with J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens had a little bit of a mini bye too to kind of get rested up and ready for this game. Baltimore flexes a bit in this one. leaving Vegas more in a free fall. And I actually would be surprised if this game is not a 10-point game. I got the Ravens winning this one. What I put down 28-13. And I got the Cardinals winning 31-28.
Good.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap it up, are there, other than that Vikings with me as well, are there any picks from the NFL in week 2 you like, my friend?
It feels too good to be way too confident, but I like
over-unders, money lines.
I like Bills plus 2.5 a lot. I really do like that a lot.
For Thursday Night Football, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs -5 is against the Bengals after that week they had, and their defense is not very good. I think the Chiefs are going to kind of stomp the Bengals a little bit, and I hate that sucks for Joe Burrow and everything. But
I was going to say, I love Joe Burrow so much.
Yeah, it's
the one thing I'm kind of hanging my hat on for Cincinnati is if you look at these last couple years, regardless of if Joe Burrows are healthy or not, the Bengals have usually done pretty crappy in week 1.
Yeah. I think the only one they've won is when they went to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. So
yeah,
which that might have helped.
Right.
And then the over-unders are always tough because you want to go for the teams that don't score, but then they move the line so down.
Yeah, and if you don't like any over-unders, truthfully, I love betting over-unders, but I'm kind of the same way. Other than a couple of college football games, I haven't found a couple that I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is robbery.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't mind the under 45.5 for Bears Texans. I hate betting under because it's more fun to root for points, but
right
after the Bears last week, I think the Texans will get points, but I don't think the Bears they're not going to get those picks like they got against Will Levis.
Okay.
So I like the under in that.
What's the over-under on that game?
Right now, 45.5.
Okay, nice. So maybe like a 28 to 13 game or something like that?
Yeah, if not more for the Texans and 7. I mean, who knows? Caleb Williams could come out and the Texans got a good defense too, though.
No, they do. And truthfully, I always think that Chicago, they're like, everybody's like, oh, Caleb's going to be the best quarterback in Chicago Bears history. And in a non-sarcastic, but in kind of a football fan way, I can't help but think, well, it's possible for him to be the best quarterback in Chicago Bears history, but still be pretty crappy.
Yeah.
Because
that's the worst part for them.
You know what I mean? Because as of right now, Jay Cutler is probably the best in Bears history, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Maybe there might be something I can't, like Fran. Yeah, maybe.
Either him or I don't think it's not a long list.
But everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be the first Chicago Bear to throw for over 4,000 yards. To do that, you need to average. I did the math. You can bet your ass I did the math. You need to average 253 yards per game. That's a tall feat for a guy that didn't even throw for 100 in his first game.
Yeah, that's
just gonna leave you with that.
Well, it's also annoying for the fans to say that because it's let the dude start his career. Let him be a rookie. Don't put these expectations on him because then if he doesn't hit him, you're gonna get mad. Let him play.
Exactly. Let him do his thing.
I'm sure he doesn't think about that, but it's still just let him play. Don't overreact or underreact. Just let it be.
I couldn't agree anymore. Before we go, any last comments from anything? Any last words?
Aaron Jones, anytime touchdown. It's a lock.
I like it. Well, and then lastly from me, I will leave you guys with we currently have 3 people tied for first after week 1 in the pick'ems. We got some guy, Jay Hughesy 77, picks 1, Caitlin and Scratch Golfer, all in a 3-way tie with 140 points, guessing 14 of 16 games correctly. So huge congrats to you. Hopefully you can keep this up. And good job, Caitlin and Scratch Golfer. I have a feeling I think I know who that is, but
better not be your brother.
But yeah, congrats to you guys, and then congrats to Sam Puppy. Sam Puppy was our first touchdown challenge. For those that are interested, for the second week in a row, I will put my Venmo handle. Venmo me $5 anytime by 11:45 before the Vikings game, and in the comments put who you think is going to get the first touchdown of the game. If it hits, you win the pot, or split it with whoever else guessed it right. And we'll leave you with that. Until next time, Manny.